herzlich willkommen zu Wild at Heart, deinem Podcast für Manifestation und herzgeführtem Leben. Mein Name ist Jenny Kobi. Ich bin Life-Coach, Autorin, Speakerin, Online-Kongressveranstalterin und ich habe die Vision, Frauen zu ermutigen, ihr erfülltestes, freiestes Leben zu kreieren. Und zwar aus ihrer Seele heraus. In diesem Podcast mit meinen Gästen und mir geht es daher um sinnliches Alignment, Mutausbrüche, Göttinnen-Energy und die Kunst, radikal für deine Wahrheit zu gehen. Schön, dass du da bist.
I really want to know, because nervous system, I feel it is just everywhere right now, you know? And it is that way. I started maybe 7 years ago with my own business and, with the coaching industry. And it was not such a hot topic back then. So I really want to hear from you. Why do you feel there's such a buzz around the nervous system? And why now, basically?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's funny because when I first started on my own personal journey to wellness, I was talking about the nervous system back in 2013, 2012. And every medical doctor, every treatment center, every, 12-step program, all of the things that I was playing around in, they were just la, 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 you're crazy, you're an alcoholic, you're this, you're that, really wanted to stay in that diagnosis, in the safety of diagnosis, right? Because there's rigidity in there. There's the nervous system and the flexibility of the system and the nuances and the subtleties of it are very complicated, and the mind can't necessarily make sense of them in the same way that we can from all the other models that are put in place. And I do attribute the shutdown of our world in the pandemic to be a part of why nervous system became something that is now I feel I was on the way beginning of this, and now everybody's talking about it, and I'm I have to differentiate myself, right? I've been talking about this for so long, and now everybody's talking about it. But I feel the nervous system of our world became so affected by the isolation, and that we couldn't make sense of what was happening. So all this division started being made. Mm-hmm. But then there were those of us that were waking up even more. And that nervous system of the waking up, of the wait, there's so much more to this, started to open up the complexities of the human experience. And so therefore, we look at the nervous system now and we're oh, that makes sense. Oh, that makes sense. Oh, that makes sense. And I really feel that isolation and now the co-regulation, the connection that's happening again, we're still coming out of it in a lot of ways. There's still people wearing masks everywhere. There's still, that. Is it safe to connect and co-regulate? But something became profoundly important in that time. And that was the importance of connection. That does not happen through the screen. That does not happen through our mind. That only happens through our body. And so I really believe that was why this is now such a hot topic and everybody's noticing it, because everyone had a personal experience of some kind of emotional trauma collectively during that time and in the isolation. Mm-hmm. And it's when there's nowhere to hide and there's nothing to make sense of it, now we're trying to make sense of it through the nervous system.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I also feel just working with mindset, just doing mindset work, it's not doing it anymore. I feel people just want more. That's how I feel, or that's how I try to make sense of it. Having been so long in the coaching industry, and I have seen all the champagne and balloon ladies with their millions and millions of dollars, and you know exactly what I'm talking about, and all the different waves a little bit. And yeah, it's just mindset work. No, people want authenticity. We can feel that shift. I don't know if
absolutely,
but
yeah. Well, yeah. And we talked about quick fix versus sustainable way of life. The thing about mindset work, and I've been in personal development since forever. That is just what my whole soul was signed up for in this world. I'm I am going to do something with this all the obstacles that I've been given. In personal development, when I first started, it was all about bypassing the body. It was spiritual bypassing. It was mindset bypassing. It was just like, ignore whatever's going here on here and be a positive, good girl. Like, just go through the world and be positive. And like, I mean, if you would like listen to my messages in the early 90s, it was like, make it a great day. And like, you know, I mean, I was just like, of like bypassing what was actually happening in my body and saying all the right things. And such a good girl and so fucking likable and all of the things. Yeah, like
I know exactly what you're talking about.
And inside, I was miserable because it took so much physical energy to mask the truth. And then I would have a few glasses of wine or, you know, be out with my friends, and then all my opinions would come out. All the truth would come out, all of my energy, my power, my life force. And I didn't feel safe to express it any other way because I needed to be the good girl and likable and make a lot of money and do the right thing and make all the men happy. And I'm not going to lie and say that like that survival strategy won't always be in there. I still see little tricky ways that comes out in my life. And I'm just like, oh, okay, thank you for being there to save me. But that is no longer how we do it.
How do you, like, when you look back and maybe you think of these videos or whatever, what do you feel for that person, for that girly girl? Because I have that too, right? We all have, yeah, our first videos and like, yeah, what do you like? Yeah.
She's so, I mean, I have personally compassion and like sweetness towards her. Because I'm, you know, practicing my own work all the time. Sometimes I'm a little bit like disgusted, you know, I'm just like, oh gosh, like I can feel that frequency of give me that or approve of me.
Yeah, exactly.
And when I feel it, I mean, one thing is it's a great reflection too of how much I've integrated. So sometimes I'll utilize it when I see it, I'll watch it again so that I can be like, I am so different. I'm so much more full and whole and rooted and open than I was then. And so there's a little celebration and then it helps alchemize the disgust or whatever else, you know. But I do it. There are sometimes if I'm, you know, not well resourced, I'll look at that or, you know, like a memory will come up on my iPhone and I'm just like, gross, you know, and I'll like want to put it away. And then I'm like, no, Amy, that's not what we do anymore. Yeah. How can I love myself?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, like every iteration helped me become and the wholeness become, you know, more authentically, like you were saying, true. Because it's like I needed to have all those versions in order to be here now. It already happened. So it's like, okay. And another thing that I was telling actually one of my friends who's my age, who's been in the world of personal development and nervous system for a long time too, of like we were not heard. It's such a familiar from our nervous systems, from being women, from being successful women in the Bay Area too, because we were both in the Bay Area at the time. Like we weren't heard for so long. We had to fight to be heard. Right. So lots of sympathetic energy needed to be used. And there just wasn't enough energy to not play the game a little bit. Because it's like I was bound and determined that my voice was going to be heard. And so I had to really pick and choose my battles. And a battle that I was willing to play was I need to fake it a bit. I need to protect so that I can actually be heard in these rooms. And, you know, I think it's much different now, but I also think it's, you know, we still have a long way to go, of course, or, you know, there's still a lot to open. But I didn't have the energy to be all of those things at the time, or the energy in all of the ways, the financial energy, the spiritual energy, the physical energy, the physiological energy. It's just like, we only have so much, right? And sometimes we have to choose what hill we're going to die on.
Yeah, exactly. We only have so much. And then also I think it's so funny because we're always like at the same time in the process ourselves, like we're on the path ourselves, and then we help other people, and then we talk about it. We speak on stages, and in public spaces, and it all happens like at the same time too, because I'm sure like when I don't know, like when I look back at these videos, I also have a lot of compassion for her. And I think it's so funny because my voice is completely different, It's so funny. My voice has changed so much. I mean, I'm still like bubbly and I'm excited to see you, but I'm sure like I don't know, if we talk for like 1 or 2 hours, my voice, like we're both like this, and our voices, they are very deep and we're very like, but we have to get settled a little bit into this whole atmosphere, but you know what I mean? And back in the day, it was really like, she was like just speaking from here, Yeah.
Yeah. No low, like the genitals were just left out of the whole party. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I can talk about this for days too, because this is like learning to bring the energy down is how we create the sustainability versus the quick fix. The quick fix is like, like a little pelvic sneeze orgasm. It's just like, I felt so good. I feel better. Now I can go out to the world. But like that long.
That is such an amazing and yes, analogy. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because we all know that to be true. It's like it is a great analogy through the felt sense lens of like we all know what it's like to just like get the energy out and this little poof, okay, and you're like, whatever, I got to get back to work. And when we have the time and we take the time, then our whole body gets involved and we're just like the whole day we feel orgasmic and it just doesn't leave us. And the whole world knows that like we are just in the thing. Like the trees know, the birds know. Yeah, everybody's attracted to you that day, right? I go into the market and I'm just like, yeah, everybody can smell my sex. And it's just like that's how I want to live because that's sustainable, right? And it's like it's rich with nourishment and like the truth of our life force. And the nervous system once like what I notice about my particular system is like when I attune to that and I feed it and nourish it from that place, then it wants to like I want to like let that get bigger versus trying to control it and confine it and collapse it into the thing that I used to be. If you look at my videos from 2016, 2017, right? And now there's like just so much more bigness and which came with practice. Like something that I really feel is so important for us to talk about as we have this conversation is that this doesn't happen by thinking it. It's physical action through our bodies and through our minds and through our spirit that actually creates this. And I think that so many women, because they are burnt out and exhausted, and there's so many different areas of their life to attend to, that there's that forgetting to practice because there's so many things. And then there's just checking off the list. And though checking off the list feels great because it gives you a huge dopamine hit. And so it sends all the chemicals through the body of like, I'm winning, but that's not creating sustainability because you're just continuously spending your life checking off the list rather than like, oh, the list kind of checks itself off now because this is how I live. And it's a different relationship and it's very subtle.
Yes. And I feel like over time, it really is like you, how do you say that in English? It's really like feeding, like, I don't know, feeding the field or, like fueling that field around you and inside of you. And it really is like it comes with these small little conversations that you have every day, or like the self-dialogue, or really the decisions that you make. Like, for example, when I'm at a traffic light, and I actually, and it's on red, I actually feel into my body, I get the chance to like drop into my body, and then I like take a few breaths, and I, open my pelvic floor, and, I take that time to reconnect, and those little moments I feel over time, they really, how do you say that in English? Yeah, feeding or nourishing, or like just, you know what I mean?
Yes, you can say it in your language just so everyone can drop it, like how you would say it in your language. I'm so curious.
Okay, ja, maybe just one or two sentences. Dass man halt einfach so die Erde füttert und nourished, dass man die immer weiter sozusagen befüllt, damit ein großes Feld einfach da ist. Thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Yeah. And I mean, just that, like, I can feel
Yeah.
what you're saying so deeply,
Mhm.
right? Like that, and that is to feed, to nourish.
Exactly.
It isn't a doing.
Yeah.
It was all this energy that you were moving around. And then when you spoke it in your native language, and you were just like, la, 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 la. And then I could just feel everything in your body turn on, because it was just so easeful to say it that way, where you weren't having to grab for the words.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the thing. And I really want the listeners, if you rewind and listen to the two versions of it, how you can feel the difference in it, because we're talking to your bodies right now, not the mind. The mind will come later. Like, if I'm going to give a tool right now, it's like, listen again with your body. And then you'll be like, oh, yes, that. And then we recruit the mind to saying something like, I stop at the red light and I drop in. Like, that's the practice. That's where we utilize the mind to be of service to the body, so that we can expand that nourishment, grow deeper roots. And that's honestly, like, to me, the most medicinal thing to burnout, because it doesn't require a lot, right? There was no real work in that. It was just like letting the energy flow.
Exactly. Cause, but I'm like wondering, I think it is maybe the awareness, or like the practice of the awareness is the work, right? Because it's not actually really, it's not really work, to take a breath, or maybe it is work. I don't know. You feel that there's no work in that?
There's no work in the sense of prana, our breath is just meant to flow, right? It actually takes more work to stop it. But it's more familiar. So, I call my body of work regrooving. So it's like the old groove is familiar. Anytime we're choosing a new groove, it's going to take work for the nervous system. The nervous system doesn't have a mind of its own. It's only survive, 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 survive. So when the nervous system needs to use more energy, that's not surviving. That's actually going into like thriving. We're about to change something, so it's going to require more energy. The mind gets a hold of that. This is going to be so much work. So we start resisting. Oh God, like I can't even, like, no, I guess just forget it. Okay. That's basically the nervous system protecting, like conserving the energy. So technically it requires more energy. How we name it through our mind is up to us. Like, do you want to call it work, or do you want to be like, I'm so committed to this? Yes, I'm yes, I'm yes, I'm yes, right? And it's such an interesting thing, language, because how we call it in our head and our mind will create the energy of resistance, will create the energy of heaviness, will basically put the nervous system back in the old familiar groove, because we're animals. And so that's when we really want to work with our mind to name it something that's compatible with the transformation that we desire. Because when we do that, then the mind is working with our body, and it's less resistance.
So how do we do this? Because this is like, And who do you speak to? Do you speak to your mind? Do you speak to to your body? How do you, make the connection? Yeah.
Good question. Yeah. So that is nuanced in the sense of like how we're designed. This is just going to come from like the behavioral science practices of like watching my students and the qualitative data that I've collected over the many years. Like male-bodied men with a lot of masculine energy, they respond very differently than a very super feminine female-bodied woman that has a human design of a projector. Like there's so many nuances. So I'm going to give something that I feel like is across the line, everyone can practice. And I also just want to tell everyone, like, this is nuanced. Like my human design, the way that I'm designed is much different than a projector is designed.
I'm a projector.
Okay, great.
Awesome.
What are you? Perfect.
What are you?
I'm a manifesting generator.
Yes, of course. I knew it.
Yeah. And so we have a really good exchange of energy because you can show me what I don't see. And then I'm an engine for you.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Yeah. And it's one of my favorite relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But if I had an expectation that your system was going to respond to things the way that my system does, it's not true. And so I would teach a projector in a different way than I would teach another manifesting generator. Mm-hmm. Right. Just based on the nervous system of the design. Yeah. So I do want to nuance. This is nuanced. So presence this with yourself. Know these things about yourself, listeners, because, if a projector forces themselves into energy, you know what happens. Like, it's just not good. You've got to rest, right? You've got to be invited. There's just some things that are just true. However, the way that our systems really operate the best is when we check in with bottom up first. So when we check in with body to be like, I'm resisting. Resistance feels like a tight asshole, tight hips, tight jaw, tight shoulders. I want to curl up in a ball. My suggestion is even to letting those things get bigger in the body, where I will take the form of how I'm resisting. Right. I'll give it an example. I started to see a new man, and him and I were in a thing where his energy was getting really big to like, he was about to shut down. My animal body, without my conscious awareness, we were driving, was pushing up against the door to like push myself out the door. And I was able, because I could feel myself about to talk back to him to shut it down. And instead, I checked in with my body first. My body was trying to get out of the conversation because it was hard. Mm-hmm. And that would have been my old pattern. I looked, I felt, I was like, oh my God, I'm scared. I'm scared he's going to leave me. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to leave first. The car's driving down the road. Not a good idea. Right? Noticed and named how my body was resisting. Named it to myself. Came into my mind, recruited my mind, and I was like, you're scared he's going to leave. We're okay. Literally physically turned my body towards him, made eye contact with him until he softened. I didn't say anything. He softened. I softened. We came together. Mm-hmm. It's a great example of body down and then my mind. If I wasn't conscious of my body, I would have turned towards him and said, drop me off. I need to get out of here. I got to go. Protective mechanism to flight, which would be my MO. Because if you're going to leave, I'm going to leave first. Mm-hmm. Right? And like, these are very subtle things that we do, but we can recruit our mind to be of service to our body and then turn towards our partners, our children, our work, whatever it is. But it is to have this relationship with our body.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then also like feeling or sensing what the default reaction would be, right? Because if I, like me in that same situation, I would probably like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I would have tried to like really fix it. I would have tried to like start a conversation and then just like talk to him and like maybe like basically metaphorically like grab him and be like, don't leave me, you know, like don't abandon me, and just really like try to, I'm great. I'm great. Can't you see that? We can make that happen. We can fix that. Yeah. That would have been like my default. And also like just really noticing like how your default reaction would be, you know. I think that's also like to become really aware of that. That was like my first step to step out of that a little bit, and then really like feeling how does my body feel in that situation, and actually like deal with that yeah, it really felt like unsafe. And also like you were talking about disappointment too in one of your videos. I think I really want to talk about that too. Yeah, it just made me really feel unsafe, you know, because I felt like a disappointment, or I felt like I was not right, or I was wrong, or I did something that, you know, that upset the other person or something. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you know, what I like to play with this, because first we notice our behaviors, we notice the defaults, we notice what I would call the survival strategy.
Yeah.
The thing that we've done our whole lives to keep ourselves safe and protected, and so we don't die, right? And there's just like, there's no logic in it. It doesn't necessarily make sense. Like, oh, let me beg you to love me and
Right.
to accept me. Like, there's no logic in that. But I get it. I've done it. And so when we're in the process of noticing our survival strategy, one of the first things that women do is start flogging ourselves over it, start beating ourselves up over it. Like, oh my God, I'm such a dirty bitch. And like, how could I have acted like that? And like, oh my God, I have to and who, you know, and like all this stuff. And it's like, no, woman, that was your survival strategy. And so it's deeper than just accepting it. It's like, can I approve of all of the versions of me that I have been?
Right.
To become and be the truth of who I am in this body, in this form, in this lifetime. Because if I didn't approve of how, I mean, the things that I have done to get attention, it's just amazing to look at. Like, I can giggle at it now, but I used to feel immense shame, like debilitating shame of how I behaved. And all that did was keep the pattern alive longer. The shame, like bringing the shame to the light, was my ticket to freedom, because it was just like, actually, there's nothing to be ashamed of. That was my animal body, my nervous system behaving in the only way that it knew how.
Mm-hmm.
And now I know differently. And so now I choose to practice differently, very imperfectly. Like, I still, you know, I'm still trying to push myself outdoors in the middle of the highway, but like, I didn't actually do it. Where there was a time where I have gotten out of a moving car because I couldn't handle the conflict, right? You know, like, I didn't this time. But I have. Like, I've been lying, just like the insane things that we do when we're in that anger response, because there's no access to the smarter parts of the brain. And then, you know, you kind of come to, and you realize what just happened here.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully you have your cell phone to call them, come get me.
Yeah. And like, it really reminds me because I have that word disappointment in my head now that you're speaking about that, you know, because I never wanted to be like a disappointment I was always like an A+ student, you know. I was so like, you know, was the best at school and in my drama group, and, you know, and then I started my business, and you know how it is. When you first start your business, you know, you fail and you need to get up and all these things. And then also in some relationships, it didn't really work out that well. And then I started with the financial markets, and, you know, I didn't want to be a disappointment, but I didn't really get it at first. You know, it just felt like weird, and I was sad, and I couldn't really say what it was. But then I noticed it's actually, I don't want to disappoint myself, or I don't want to be, you know, a disappointment to, I don't know, people who take care of me or who help me financially or whatever at the time, you know? So, and I think I want to quote you on something. You said, feeling safe to fuck it up is essential to making a new way of life. So that really reminded me of my disappointment, and how I felt back then. And maybe you can speak on that a little bit. I love that quote. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And like the first thing that my system feels in there is the perfection.
Right.
Right. It's like perfectionism is a survival strategy. Right. And we start to survive in that way from very young children, literally to be taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
And so it goes so deep,
Mm-hmm.
this pattern of I don't want to disappoint anyone. And if I do, I might not be taken care of
Mm-hmm.
financially, physically. Like that it's so rooted in I might die if I'm imperfect.
Mm-hmm.
So I really like to slow down because being safe to fuck it up is essential to making a new way of life because you're going to. But if you have the perfectionism deeply tied to I'm going to die if I'm not perfect, you won't move.
Mm-hmm.
It's literally physically impossible to from a biological place. We must create more rooted safety there.
Mm-hmm.
That it's safe to we got to go start disappointing people. But we need to do it in a very safe, contained environment with people and be like, I'm going to play the game where I disappoint you 5 times a week. I love to give this homework to people in partnership. I'm like, tell your partner you're going to disappoint them 5 times a week. He's going to feel rejected. You're going to feel abandoned. And can y'all both hold it? And I only do this with people that are in the container with me because it's not safe to do outside, right? Yeah. Like you need to have your mentors and guides, y'all, if you're doing this and it just, it's important. And then when you start practicing it and you can hold it and it brings you closer together because it creates more intimacy and vulnerability, then you've just widened your nervous system to be able to do that. And then maybe, you raise your prices by $200 for each of your clients. Or you make a big offer for a one-on-one immersion at $40,000 or, it's just like all of that practice then gets us bigger and bigger and bigger. And then when the $40,000 immersion, no one buys it, you're disappointed, but you're like, whatever, I'm going to make it $50,000 next time. It wasn't enough.
Yeah. It's so funny.
It's literally building.
Yeah. And exactly. Like just now that you're explaining it and talking about it and sharing it, I can feel in my body, the expansion already, that happens with these little steps. And really, it is romancing this shame, romancing this disappointment and vulnerability, basically. Right.
Yeah. I love that word to use with it. It is. It's romancing it. It's becoming so intimate with it that it's like, oh, I actually, I love you. I'm so glad you've been here to be a teacher to me, which feels very counterintuitive to the survival. Because you coming closer to shame, right? Scares shame.
How does survival react, would you say?
Survival will actually, if shame is very familiar to you as a listener, to me, as it was to me, at first it was there was a full closure in my body. That's not allowed. We need that. It's been with you since you were literally an infant. What will we do without it? Because it creates space. And my animal body was so used to chaos and just everything was filled with something, that space was very confronting to my system. And so when I started to develop this intimate relationship with shame, first of all, my friends hated it and they shamed me for not feeling that shame. And then they started calling me grandiose and egoic. And I was like, nah, I'm just taking the shame blanket off. This is how I've always felt about myself. Right? This is just true. Right? It's just the natural essence of who I am. But I blanketed it with shame for so long that it was confronting to their systems. So then that was a whole nother win. And I want to mention that because you'll often find that in Australia, they call it tall poppy. where like the woman is trying to be bigger than the other women. And I'm like, is that what's happening here? Or is she just healing all of these weird stories that she told herself for so long? It's usually the latter.
Mhm.
And so when the system is confronted with the pattern,
Mhm.
then it's like the system will basically be like, don't start doing something new. Go back to the shame, go back to the guilt, go back to the the fear of disappointing, go back to the lack and the scarcity. That's familiar. And so with your system, like this is what I really teach a lot about is like the body will give you signs and cues that it's not safe. And this is where we need the mind.
Mhm.
We need the mind to be like, yes, it is. And we don't, I want to be very conscious, like we don't drag the body along. We stay with the body while the mind creates. You'll feel just like you were feeling the expansion earlier. You'll start to feel the expansion as the mind recruits the body, and then you're like, okay, go. Like take that energy and move with it.
Organically too, like you feel like how fast is too fast and what's the right speed, right? Yeah.
Yeah. One of my favorite things to talk about is like that just right spot.
Mhm.
And always for me, I can guarantee myself that it'll be too fast at first, then too slow, and then I find the right spot. I'm just like, it's like my MO every time. I'm like, oh my gosh, I just went way too fast. And now this is way too slow. And then I'm like, oh no, this is just right. And then I practice that for a while, and then I expand, and then I'm in a new thing. I'm going too fast again on something.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
That is
fun.
so funny. I also wanted to talk to you about the exhaustion of the nervous system because when I started with the whole coaching industry thing, and you get your first mentors, and my first mentor was like 7K, which was insane, basically. I was used to a 9 to 5, and then all of a sudden you invest 7K into a mentor. That was wild 7 years ago. I mean, now, I choose mentors and I pay way more and all of that, but it was crazy for my nervous system. And I don't know, I had so much shame around like not going all in. It was really like connected. How much do you invest? It equals like how committed you are, and these weird things that we have in the coaching industry, and that completely exhausted my nervous system. And I felt so much shame towards, my mentors. They also tried to shame me. I mean, a lot of people use manipulative tactics and stuff, so they try to shame you into investments. But I really like fell for some of these things, because I didn't want to be a disappointment. I didn't want to, you know, be called, not committed, or just not all in. And I also, yeah, I mean, obviously, I also bought into these promises, but that was really something that I had to like. At some point, I really had to stop the investments.
Yeah.
And really check in with myself, and have this self-dialogue, because I was so exhausted and I was not able to bring the money in. And, it was very, very unsafe for me.
Mm,
And a lot of women have experienced that. That is,
yeah.
so can you speak on that a little bit? Like, how can we find that sweet spot of investing? Maybe how can we talk to our nervous system about these things when we invest, because it's a very normal thing to do as an entrepreneur.
Absolutely. Okay. Yes. Again, how you're designed is going to influence the way that you're looking at the investment. And so I love to remind people to take that into account, but to not get into like decision fatigue around it. Right. And so um it's something that I think is such a good practice of investing in yourself, especially as an entrepreneur, is like, what is my motive? What is it that I want to develop more in my life? What is it that I can see in my practice that I want to get bigger? Right? Like really knowing that that this is for you. that this is your nourishment. If you're going towards a guide or a mentor or teacher or a program or continuing education, trying to get something from it, stop, just drop it. Just put the credit card away right now. And listen, I worked with my mentor, one of my mentors as a student for a few years. And then I went to work for him as a sales in his sales department. And he has not paid me until this day. We have been in a lawsuit. It's completely out of integrity, completely not practicing what he teaches, completely like, no. But as a student of his, I got so much from it because I knew what I was there for. And I was very focused on leave everything that you're not here for and come for what you're here for. Now, when I went to work from him, I was like, I'm not here for any of this. Just like, let's pay me and like get out, because I don't want to not love him anymore. And even with all of this chaos where he still hasn't paid me to this day, it's so frustrating that like, I still love him as a human, but I'm telling the story because it's like that the importance of me knowing why I invested like $7,500,000 probably at the end of the day into it was because I knew what I was there for. And there was a joke in the community of like, we know Amy will be on the calls. Like I didn't miss anything because I knew what I was there for. And I think oftentimes when people choose to buy something based on, I'm going to get this result.
And also the person will provide it, they are responsible to provide the results,
Right. And then it becomes about outside of, I'll just use me as an example. Then it becomes outside of me instead of that internal growth, expansion, experience that I'm actually there for. Right. And so even I went to yoga teacher training like 15 years ago, and I was not there for the teacher. I was there for the yoga. I had been practicing for 10 years and I wanted to learn how to be strong and flexible. I was only flexible. When I came home, I had like, my body was so strong. I had an ass. I never had an ass before. Everyone was like, what happened? I was like, I went to yoga teacher training to get strong. I got strong. My jeans didn't fit me. I had to buy new jeans. I was like, but I have right. But it's like, yeah, but in that thing of like, because we can exhaust ourselves with all of these investments. I just actually had my last coaching call with a mentor, and I knew exactly what I was there for. And I just left the rest. And I literally received what I wanted to receive, but I didn't take advantage of all of the things because the other stuff wasn't for me. And then when it was complete, I feel complete. I might come back for more later, but it becomes this conscious decision. And so for entrepreneurs out there, Instagram and all these highly, they just blast our body and our mind with like, we need that. And it's just not true. And so it's that learning to check in with the nuances of the body and the why, and then taking the motive and then getting logical about it, bringing on our prefrontal cortex and our sequencing skills of like, hey, I'm scaling my business right now. I don't know how to nourish a team. So I actually need a mentor that has the skills to show me how to nourish a team and then is practicing what they teach. And I can see that they're practicing what they teach. And I honestly, this is a really big one with the burnout and the exhaustion of it. Have questions ready to ask the person so that you know that they're practicing what you're there to learn. Because if your teacher isn't practicing it, like it won't be reflected to you energetically through the animal body. And you'll get all the sequencing information, but something will feel off, especially to a projector. And so then you won't take any of it in because the whole time you're scanning the environment for danger. Because you're like, something's off. Something's off. And so your prefrontal cortex isn't taking in the information and you're not embodying it. And so one of the biggest things that I tell people when they're looking for a guide or a mentor or teacher, know what you're looking for, and then ask those questions to really make sure that the teacher is practicing. And you'll feel it. You'll feel it. You'll just be like, oh yeah, they're doing the thing with me. And anytime you feel power over manipulation, as you were calling it, like, go, leave. It might be a trauma wound that gets activated. It might not be true power over, but still leave to get perspective. You can always come back and have another sales call and just be like, oh, I got really triggered in something and I don't think it was you, but let me ask you more questions.
Mm-hmm.
And as a teacher and a mentor, like, I am open for that because the relationship is just as important to me, because I'm exchanging a lot of energy with my one-on-one students and my lead with love students. And I'm like, if you don't trust yourself or trust me somewhere, that's okay, as long as we're talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because when we stop talking about it is when shit gets weird. And then you're resenting me for the investment.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're getting burnt out. And then we're not creating healthy, conscious relationships that will change the world. We're just agreeing with the patterns of the system.
Oh, as a projector, you get really bitter.
Oh my gosh. Projectors get so bitter.
Bitterness.
So bitter. And, I'm on the other side of that so often because I teach so many projectors and they hate me at so many different points in the relationship. And I giggle because I talk to the universe and I'm just like, wow, like you're really teaching me how to hold this.
Mm-hmm.
Because, the way that I teach is like, I can feel how much you hate me and I'm not going anywhere.
Which projectors hate.
They hate it. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Because they want to scare me off, right? Like everyone else,
Exactly.
like, because
staring, it usually works, Yeah. We're very,
yeah. Oh, I'm in it right now with one of my students and I'm just like, she might leave this time, but I'm not going to go anywhere. And that's my commitment and my integrity to myself because I see the pattern.
Mm-hmm.
And the pattern will either mature or it will go. Like the person will go. And I'm like, at the end of the day, I'm not going to chase you, but I'm also not going to go anywhere. But it's very confronting for me to stay because it's vulnerable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing that, it also plays into like leadership, how you lead, like, your containers, how you lead yourself. And that's a whole another conversation, but yeah. Yes, to basically wrap it up, I want to dive into self-dialogue a little bit more because I love, like I saw in one of your posts, the question that you ask yourself is, can I hold it? Right? That's a question you ask yourself often. And then you have like basically 3 answers that can come. Maybe you can like dive into that a little bit more because I feel like that's really helpful. That is something that people, even if they are not too familiar with the nervous system work yet, that's something they can really like practice. And that's something they can take from this conversation and really like adapt it, and use it for their own lives immediately.
Yeah. Yes. Beautiful. Yeah. So first of all, like when I talk about like, can I hold it? It basically means like, if I walk into the situation, like with this new man, right? It's like, oh, well, am I actually in a place where I can hold the energy of it might not work out and I'm totally going to have sex with him. So can I hold myself in having sex with him and then maybe never hearing from him again? If I say no, I can't hold myself in never hearing from him again, because that's going to be the painful part. Then I'm a no.
Mm-hmm.
I would like, and if then sometimes I'm like, yes, I can totally hold that. Like, it's just a hell yes. It's just like, oh my God, yes, it's easy. And then sometimes I'm a yes, and I need to tell him I'm feeling this way, which in this case, I'm just giving a real life scenario. It was a yes, and I need to tell him I'm feeling this way. And with the yes, and it's like, I get to do that. And then I get to play at my fullest, most expressed, most like there, because I've already made a commitment to myself, to all of my parts, and to him that like, this is good. If I never hear from you again, I can hold it and it's going to suck. but I can hold it. Like, I can hold the pain of it. It's going to be okay. And so every time you're making a decision, especially entrepreneurs around money, right? Like if I make the $50,000 in-person offer and no one signs up, can I hold it? No. Yes, or hell yes. Right? Like we're looking for our body and it will tell you. And really with the yes and, listen to what comes, because that and part that comes is often the nourishment. So to bring this conversation full circle, that you need to actually put the offer out there, to make the link, to set up the PayPal link and just be like, all right, somebody's coming. And then if I make the offer and someone says yes, can I hold that? Right?
Yeah.
Right. And
that's
so
too. Yeah.
Yeah. And like with this thing is I'm really in it with like relational and men to me, or relationship and money to me are like so the same. It's like when I say and then they agreed to the thing, it's like, or that money agrees to the thing, or someone agrees to saying yes to me, then like there's this beautiful opportunity to keep playing the game of, all right, can I hold this? All right, now we're holding this together. Now the energy is getting bigger. Oh my gosh, now we're like really playing. Oh my gosh, it's getting bigger. Right. And so then the field, if you will, like the energy system that's holding it is getting bigger with us. And then we're both playing bigger. And it's just the money's playing bigger with you. The bank account's getting, wider. The financial, it's just, it becomes this huge energy system. And when it's a no, then I like to say, go and play the game of what do I need for the yes and. Right. And then in your mind what you're looking for, so that you'll be either a hell yes or a yes and. If it's something that you actually want. Sometimes the no is really powerful because it's just like, I don't really want that. I think something, and I want to speak to this before we end, of like, not everyone is a balloon and champagne, like kind of coach. I'm not. I'm just not. I am so down low to the ground, and I'm just a woman, I am who I am. And like, yes, I'm rich and regulated, in my way of being rich and regulated, but it doesn't mean fancy shit and everything's all perfect. Like, that's not the kind of person that I am. That's not true. And sometimes you're scrolling through Instagram and there's a little comparison that comes on of like, is that what I'm supposed to be? No. Yeah. Like, let it be your own thing. So sometimes a no is actually the most refreshing thing. No, I can't hold that because that's not actually true for me. My version of it is this. And then there's like clarity. And then it's like, oh, I can hold this. Yeah. Like, I'm not a late.
Yeah. One of the yummiest feelings, clarity. It's like,
so good. Yes. Yeah.
Amy, oh my God. Do you have final words? I don't know. Like, do you have final words for the women out there?
Yeah, like it just like everything you've done until now makes sense. Like every time you have a rear view mirror moment where you're looking at your life through the rear view mirror, just like it all makes sense. And like being here in this moment is the most important thing.